I have completely stopped flying. The airports are just too massive now. The last time I flew, I requested a wheelchair when I booked the ticket, but when I arrived at the check-in desk, they just told me to wait. I sat there for over an hour, terrified I was going to miss my flight, and the gate agent just kept shrugging. Is there anything we can actually do, or are we just at their mercy?
You are never at their mercy if you know the federal law. Most seniors make the critical mistake of politely waiting without saying the specific words that trigger an airline's legal obligations. The airlines are severely understaffed, so the contractors who push those chairs prioritize the passengers who make the most noise. But you do not need to yell. You just need to invoke the Air Carrier Access Act, which was passed back in 1986. Under this federal law, airlines are legally required to provide prompt wheelchair assistance. If they tell you to just sit and wait, look the agent politely in the eye and say, "I need you to contact the complaint resolution official immediately." Every single airline is mandated by the Department of Transportation to have a complaint resolution official, or CRO, available at all times, either in person or by phone. These officials are specifically trained in disability regulations, and gate agents are terrified of them because if a CRO gets involved and sees the airline is violating your right to accessible transit, the airline faces massive federal fines. The moment you ask for the CRO, a wheelchair will magically appear.
Wow, I had no idea about the CRO. But what happens when we finally get to the security line? That is my biggest nightmare. I have a pacemaker and an artificial knee. I am always terrified the alarms will go off and they will pull me aside in front of hundreds of staring people for an invasive pat-down.
The security checkpoint is deliberately designed to make you feel rushed and intimidated. From the Transportation Security Administration's perspective, their officers have seconds to process each passenger, so they rely on barking orders to keep the line moving. But you have specialized federal rights here, too. The monumental mistake seniors make is waiting until they are inside the scanner to mention their implants. If you have a pacemaker, artificial joint, or any medical device, you must utilize a secret program called TSA Cares. Most travelers think TSA PreCheck is the only way to avoid the hassle, but TSA Cares is completely free. Exactly 72 hours before your flight, you call the TSA Cares hotline. They will assign a passenger support specialist to you. When you arrive at the airport, this specialized officer meets you, escorts you through a dedicated lane, and personally handles your screening. You bypass the screaming agents entirely. If you forget to call in advance, you still have rights. When you approach the front of the line, immediately ask for a supervisor. Hand them a TSA notification card, which you can print for free online. It discreetly states your medical condition. By law, you always have the right to request a private screening room, and you have the absolute right to have your travel companion stay with you the entire time.
Having someone escort me sounds like a dream. But what about my medications? I have liquid arthritis medication and specialized dietary shakes. They are way over the 3.4-ounce limit. I always end up throwing them in the trash at the checkpoint because I do not want to get in trouble.
Stop throwing your medically necessary liquids away. The 3.4-ounce rule, strictly enforced since 2006, is the most universally misunderstood policy at the airport. You are entirely exempt from this rule for anything medically necessary. This includes liquid prescriptions, over-the-counter cough syrups, contact lens solution, and even juices or shakes required for medical conditions like diabetes. But there is a massive catch. The mistake you must never make is leaving these large liquids inside your bag and letting them go through the X-ray tunnel unannounced. If the machine flags your bag and they have to pull it aside, the agents will treat it as a routine security violation. To use the medical exemption, you must separate the liquids from your carry-on luggage before the screening begins. Place them in a separate bin and explicitly declare to the officer, these are medically necessary liquids. You do not even need a doctor's note, though having the prescription label helps. The officers will simply test the outside of the bottle for explosives using a specialized swab. It takes about 30 seconds. Do not let them bully you into discarding your health necessities.
I cannot believe I have been throwing away $40 bottles of medicine for no reason. Okay, so we survived security. Next is boarding. I walk with a cane, so I need extra time. When I ask to pre-board, the gate agents always look at me suspiciously and ask what is wrong with me. Do I have to show them my medical records?
Absolutely not. Under no circumstances should you ever hand a gate agent a medical record. The airlines are under immense pressure to turn airplanes around in less than 45 minutes. Every minute of delay costs them thousands of dollars. So gate agents are heavily penalized if the boarding process is slow. To combat this, they try to limit pre-boarding to as few people as possible. But the Air Carrier Access Act strictly forbids airline personnel from asking for proof of a disability, and they are legally prohibited from asking exactly what your medical condition is. The only thing they are permitted to ask is, what specific assistance do you need to board the aircraft? Your answer should be simple and direct. You say, I have a mobility impairment and require extra time to navigate the jet bridge safely. That is it. If the agent demands a doctor's note or tries to deny you the right to board early, calmly remind them that federal law prohibits them from inquiring about your specific diagnosis. They know the rules, but they rely on you not knowing them.
Okay, I feel much more confident about getting on the plane. But my worst fear is what happens if the flight just gets canceled. I have heard horror stories of seniors sleeping on airport floors because the airline said the cancellation was out of their control and they refused to pay for a hotel.
This is the most expensive mistake you can make. The airlines have essentially weaponized the phrase weather delay. If a flight is canceled due to an act of God, like a hurricane, the airline truly owes you nothing. But here is the whistleblower secret. Airlines frequently blame the weather when the real issue is a crew shortage or a mechanical failure. Why? Because if the cancellation is within their control, Department of Transportation regulations require them to provide hotel vouchers, ground transportation, and meal stipends. If a gate agent tells you no, do not just walk away and pay for a $300 hotel room out of your own pocket. First, do not stand in a line with 200 angry passengers. Sit down in a comfortable chair and call the airline's international customer service number. Since those call centers are in different time zones, you will get an agent on the phone in 2 minutes while everyone else waits in line for 3 hours. Second, pull up the Department of Transportation's Aviation Consumer Protection website on your phone. It has a public dashboard showing exactly what each airline has legally committed to providing during controllable delays. Read their own policy back to the agent on the phone. When they realize you know how to access the federal dashboard, the weather delay suddenly turns into a mechanical issue, and they will issue your hotel voucher directly to your phone.